Republican State Senator Bryan Hughes of Tyler, thank you so much and welcome back to Ion Politics.
Thanks for having me on, Jack.
You bet. So I wanted to ask because we know the Supreme Court is going to take some kind of action on Monday. We don't know what, with regards to the use of mifepristone and the distribution of it, and whether they are going to uphold the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals decision to end the 2023 ruling by the FDA, or if they're going to side with the FDA's ruling on this. What are your biggest concerns?
As you know, when this drug regimen first came out, the two pills that are taken, uh, the FDA rules required prescription by a physician, in-person visits with a physician, and the FDA also required that the drugs be administered in the physician's office. Obviously, the abortion pill regimen kills little unborn babies. It also harms and in some cases kills moms. And so that's why it was so heavily regulated. But between the Obama and Biden administrations and COVID, those protections were all removed so that now it can be shipped, mailed directly to a mom with no in-person visit with a doctor, without any real direction. And then the mom goes through that process alone in her home in many cases. All that to say, that's already against Texas law if those pills are being used for an elective abortion. If we're talking about the life of the mother, of course that's protected in Texas, but that's already against the law. But we have these basically big pharma. We have manufacturers and distributors of these drugs mailing them directly to moms in Texas. And you heard the testimony before the State Affairs Committee last year about the horrible, chilling experiences moms had taking those pills. And I'll say one more thing about that. The doctor visit is important because if the little baby is developed more than the mom realizes, the mom is in real danger with these pills because the baby is too large for her to deliver after the little baby's been killed by the abortion pills. And if the mom has an ectopic pregnancy and doesn't know that without a doctor visit, that also can cause serious problems for the mom. So we believe the Fifth Circuit did the right thing when they said if you're going to do this, at least have protections in place for the mom. And so, again, requiring the in-person office visit and requiring the drugs be done in the doctor's office. So we'll see what the U.S. Supreme Court does. But either way, in Texas, our law says if you manufacture, ship these drugs to Texas to do that, and it kills a little baby, and it hurts or kills a mom, we're going to hold you liable in civil court for damages. Just like if you manufacture an unsafe automobile in Detroit and it ends up in Texas and it harms someone, there are damages from that. We can sue you in Texas. So that's what Texas law says, regardless of what the Supreme Court does with this Fifth Circuit ruling. But we hope that they'll put this back in place because then, if a doctor ships these pills into Texas, violating state law and federal law, maybe that will make them think twice. Because the testimony we heard, we know these pills kill little unborn babies, but they also hurt and even kill moms. So we hope the Supreme Court will uphold what the Fifth Circuit did.
We know, though, that because of the FDA rule, women have been able to have the mifepristone sent to them after having a telehealth visit with a doctor out of state. And when I spoke with Representative Donna Howard, she said that this, this will have a real impact on Texas women if, there's a change.
Jack, I understand it. I just can't get away from the testimony we heard from moms and also from physicians. And without being too explicit, the abortion pill regimen does two things. The first pill uh, basically starves the little unborn baby. And then the second pill causes the mom to deliver that now deceased little unborn baby. But again, and there's no question about this among the physicians, if the mom's pregnancy is further along than she realizes, and that baby is too big for her to deliver after it's dead, the mom's in real danger. And if the mom has an ectopic pregnancy, and takes this pill, that is also a real problem, real danger for the mom. And without that in-person doctor visit, there's no way that a mom can know that. So if we're really concerned about the safety of women, these basic protocols will be put back in place.
Representative Howard said that because much of the state is rural, there's really no access for women out in these rural areas to see a doctor. And she said that's why the telehealth is so important. She says it's been safe. So, what do you say to that?
I would say sworn testimony before the Texas committee, also in Washington, and also data that's come back from the all payer claims database. As you know, every health insurance claim, every Medicaid claim runs through that. And we have evidence now that moms are being harmed, seriously injured through this process. And again, I don't think anyone would question that a doctor cannot diagnose an ectopic pregnancy over the phone. That requires an in-person visit.
And how do you see this all shaking out?
The Fifth Circuit ruling, we believe, made sense. It restored some common sense protocols that at least protect moms. Uh, It'll be interesting to see what the Supreme Court does. We know this is the Supreme Court that struck down uh, Roe versus Wade and has done other things along those lines. So I think everybody's watching this pretty closely. I believe the Supreme Court will get it right. But whatever they do, the Texas law is in place, and our message is clear to Big Pharma and to those who would manufacture and ship these drugs illegal and actually poisonous to mom in many cases. If you ship these drugs into Texas for an illegal abortion and you hurt or kill a mom, kill an unborn baby, you'll be held accountable in Texas court.
And one other thing that Representative Howard said was that this pill is also used for miscarriage management. Are women in that situation who need this drug, are they still able to get it?
So the Texas law is very clear. The Texas law only applies to shipping these drugs into Texas for illegal abortions. As you know, the terrible situations moms are in sometimes after a miscarriage, Texas law is very clear that delivery of a miscarriage, when the little baby is passed away, delivery of the miscarriage is not an abortion. That's specifically exempted from this law. So the Texas law applies only to these two drugs being sent to Texas for illegal abortions, not for ectopic pregnancies, not for miscarriages, not when it's to save the mother's life. Those are all clearly protected.
House Bill 7 passed last session. And I'm wondering, what is the impact of that law? And that was basically, and I think you mentioned it before, the ability for doctors and pharmacies that send this to Texas women can be held liable in a civil suit. What impact has that had in the last several months that this has been there?
Jack, that's right. And the manufacturers as well, if they manufacture for that purpose. Uh, there is not any court that is blocking that law from taking effect. And so right now, we don't know about other cases that may be moving through the courts, but under Texas law today, the current status is that law is alive and well. So if a manufacturer or distributor sends those pills into Texas illegally, uh, kills a little unborn baby, harms or kills a mom, they're subject to significant money damages in Texas court. And you said that right, and I want to make sure I emphasize under House Bill 7, under all Texas pro-life laws, the mom is never targeted. The mom is never affected. This goes after those people who are shipping those pills illegally into Texas. There is no lawsuit. There is nothing against the mom. The mom is a victim here as well, and Texas law recognizes that.
And my last question to you is about the other law that passed last session, which really drew distinct lines of when doctors can perform abortions if a mother's life is in danger. What has the impact been of that?
Like, that's so important. I was honored to carry that bill because, as you know, Texas pro-life laws have always had that exception for the life of the mother in that terrible situation where the mom's in jeopardy. Uh, the mom is protected there, but after Roe versus Wade was overturned, There was some confusion. Doctors were getting mixed messages. Many times the doctors knew the law, but the hospital lawyers were not letting them follow the law. So that's why we passed that law, working with doctors, working with hospitals, working with pro-life groups, working with really across the board with all the people involved to make sure that the law is crystal clear. When the life of the mother is in jeopardy, Texas pro-life laws do not interfere in that situation. And Jack, that law also requires that physicians who practice in obstetrics, gynecology, that physicians have to be trained so they know what the rules are. That was really the frustration after Roe was overturned and after a lot of the confusion and misinformation out there. Many doctors and many hospitals did not know the law. And so now the Life of the Mother Act, which you referred to, is to address that.
And but have there been any cases where, there have been the same issues that came up before the law was enacted?
That's
Or
a great
has the message gotten out?
That's a great question. We have not seen any cases um, since this law has taken effect. Any cases like that. You remember there were some tragic ones. There was a young woman who was miscarrying, and under Texas law, pro-life laws would not stop doctors from helping her. In fact, Texas medical malpractice law, standard of care, says you must help her. Another case where a mom's life was in jeopardy and she was told to wait until it got worse. Those were horrible cases, and those women should have received help. That was wrong. And so, thankfully, we have not seen any cases like that since the Life of the Mother Act took effect last year.
State Senator Bryan Hughes of Tyler, thank you so much. We
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
thank you for having me, Jack.
You bet.